Nothing to smile about. Asia's deadly addiction to betel nuts. Heavy users of betel quits reveal their addiction when they smile. Their teeth are stained a reddish black, dyed from years of chewing potent parcels of areca nuts and the tobacco wrapped in a lime-coated betel leaf. Some people, after they eat, they are drinking coffee or tea. Always after eating, I'm chewing the betel nuts. I like it, says Miu Min Tan, a 28-year-old noodle seller at a market in Myanmar's largest city, Yangon. Like tea or coffee, betel quits, or nuts, as they are often referred to, give users a lift, but unlike tea or coffee, they also give them oral cancer. Having one is okay, but the danger increases when you start having the second one. When you reach a certain point, people will get cancer, said Professor In-Chin Ko, Vice President of China Medical University in Taiwan, who conducted some of the first studies into the link between betel quits and oral cancer in the 1990s. A betel quit is the name given to small parcels that typically contain areca nuts, wrapped in a betel leaf coated with slaked lime. Some contain tobacco. Spices may be added for taste in different parts of Asia, including cardamom, saffron cloves, and sweeteners, according to research compiled by the International Agency for Research on Cancer in its monograph Betel Quid and Areca Nuts Chewing. Around 600 million people worldwide are thought to chew betel quid, making them the fourth most commonly used psychoactive substance after tobacco, alcohol, and caffeinated drinks. They are predominantly chewed in Asia, where their use isn't limited to adults. You can see it in the research and on the teeth of some children. In Myanmar, quids are popular with drivers who use them to stay alert on the road. Yu Xin, 37, chews around 10 quids a day. He's a taxi driver and is stocking up at one of the many roadside stands in central Yangon. The tobacco is just like a drug, he said, so when I'm chewing the betel nuts, I get a bit dizzy. He says he doesn't smoke cigarettes. Quids, he says, are better for me, though it's unclear whether he's referring to his health or the cheap cost of the addictive little parcels. A pack of 3 costs 100 Burmese kyat, around 10 US cents. At least that's how much Sailor Q Tai, 26, charges at his stall in central Yangon. He is quickly wrapping new parcels when Yun Xin waits. Kyoto can't say how many parcels he makes a day, but in a couple of minutes he's made 6. He swiftly coats the leaves with lime before arranging them in rows and adding areca nuts and a sprinkle of tobacco. He flicks some more lime on before bagging them and adds another sprinkle of tobacco for good measure. Yun-Sin smiles at his hands over his cash. His teeth flecked that familiar shade of red. The chewing of areca nuts dates back centuries, as far as the Bronze Age. According to a study of remains excavated at New Nap, Thanh Hoa province in Vietnam, published in 2001. Researchers found the teeth appear to be stained by betel quids. The practice has been around so long it's become an important part of cultural and religious rituals. And in some parts of Asia, the parcels are used as a herbal remedy for anything from toothache to acne. Some also believe they have aphrodisiac properties. Scientific research has found that chewing betel quid leads to an increased risk of cancer, whether or not tobacco is included. Carcinogens derived from tobacco and areca nuts were found in the saliva of people chewing the parcels, though it wasn't clear whether they were leaching from the tobacco or whether they were being produced during the chewing process. Cole thinks it's the latter. The leaves are fine, they will not cause cancer. Lime will not lead to cancer, but it may accelerate carcinogen to release. It's a hidden danger, Cole said. In some centuries, authorities have launched awareness campaigns, but health officials face an uphill battle in convincing addicts that it's not worth the buzz. In Taiwan, Cole says, people are aware, but it's hard to get rid of the addiction. Papua New Guinea recently introduced a ban on the sale and chewing of areca nuts in the capital Port Moresby, but that was mainly to rid the city of the unsightly red saliva users split into the street when they chew. In Myanmar, the Consumer Protection Association, a non-governmental organization, has started trying to raise public awareness of the risks of betel quid. However, its message is about the dangers of pesticides on leaves. Long ago, betel leaves were used as medicine, but nowadays betel leaves cause oral cancer because of the excessive use of pesticides and insecticides, the association's chairman Bo Oldcan told CNN. It's a theory that's not supported by any scientific evidence, Cole said. There's absolutely no relation between the two. Both areca nuts and leaves have very strong resistance to pests, so neither are usually used during cultivation, he said. Earlier studies show pesticides may have a connection to lymph cancer or blood cancer, but never oral cancer, he added. Despite the evidence, Noodle Sailor Min 10 has no plans to kick the habit. He says he needs his 10 parcels a day to stay awake during long shifts at his market stall, which start at 3 a.m. with a trip to the wholesaler, and then at 8 p.m. when he dumps his unsold stock. I'm working the whole day. It's a very long day, so when I'm chewing the betel nut, I don't want to sleep, he said. From opinion from Japan to the U.S., China embarks on a border foreign policy. Many expected Xi Jinping to focus on internal politics in his first year in office and not make major external moves, but in fact, China is busy designing and implementing a border foreign policy in light of an anticipated U.S. decline. This strategy was made clear this weekend as Beijing mapped out airspace over a disputed island Qian in the East China Sea and released rules that it says must be followed by all aircraft entering the zone, under penalty of intervention by China's military. Unlike his predecessors, Xi is making foreign policy with the mindset of a great power, increasingly proving U.S. commitment to its allies in the region and exploiting opportunities to change the status quo. China's recent rhetoric and actions show a move from a defensive, reactive, and image-conscious policy to a proactive approach designed to further China's vital interests. Officials in China have begun using new diplomatic language, with decades-old terms slowed off to allow more room to maneuver. Traditional mantras like non-interference and hide our capacities and buy our time are no more under sea, whose new slogan is the Chinese Dream, a vision for the national rejuvenation of the Chinese people. And in the U.S.-China relationship, U.S. diplomats used to frame the debate with terms such as responsible stakeholder in a global system, but China has now put forth its own catchphrase, a new type of great power relations, in which the U.S. recognizes China's core interests and respects it as an equal. China's actions also demonstrate a more activist external strategy. Regionally, maritime security interests have taken precedence in China's strategic rationale. Even before officially taking power, she was made head of the maritime small group that presided over Beijing's swift and decisive response to Japan's September 2012 purchase of 3 disputed islands in the East China Sea from the private owner. By declaring territorial baselines around the islands, increasing the number and length of its law enforcement patrols, and introducing military forces in the vicinity, China has challenged Japan's de facto control of the area and moved to solidify its own claims. China's demarcation of a new air defense identification zone, which includes the disputed islands known as the Diaoyu in China and Senkaku in Japan, underscores these goals. In the South China Sea, China has played a double game, calling for the peaceful settlement of disputes through bilateral negotiations, engaging while simultaneously trying to gain control of disputed territories. The cancellation of President Obama's October trip to the region, forced by the U.S. government shutdown, greatly assisted Xi. It left him as the star attraction at regional gatherings where U.S.-China rivalry features strongly, and Xi made the most of the attention by announcing a slew of new deals across Southeast Asia. China initially left the Philippines out of its lodges to punish it for submitting their maritime dispute to international arbitration and to warn of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations countries against doing the same. Central Asia and the Middle East. Xi has also acted strongly to protect other interests. He swept through Central Asia in September to forge closer trade ties at the time when the U.S. is disengaging from Afghanistan and the region. China has recently splashed cash there to secure access to petroleum resources beyond the reach of the U.S. Navy, and China and Russia continue to engage in joint multipolarity to keep the U.S. in check while furthering their energy relationship. In the Middle East, where traditionally China has been content to have the U.S. play the decisive political role, she has made moves calibrated to establish a presence without becoming mired in the region's disputes. With China expected to become even more dependent on oil from the region, Beijing realizes that instability there could jeopardize supply. In May, she received both Mahmoud Abbas and Benjamin Netanyahu issued a 4-point peace plan and offered to host an Israel-Palestine peace summit. While the components of the plan are not new and the offer has not been accepted, the initiative shows that as its power and interests grow, China will act when affected by issues outside its neighborhood. North Korea. Closer to home, she has sharply distinguished himself from his predecessor in dealing with North Korea. Where Hu was indulgent, she has let down some house rules, signed up to sanctions, and employing border rhetoric against a wayward neighbor. But when North Korea walked back its provocations, she angered the U.S. and South Korea by dispatching Vice President Lee Yuan-chao to Pyongyang to attend a military parade marking the sixth anniversary of the end of the Korean War. His presence was a potent symbol, showing that China's PQ over North Korea's earlier actions didn't preclude Beijing from trying to repair relations there. American preferences on North Korea are less and less central to China's decision-making, unless the U.S. takes measures on the peninsula that China sees as undermining its regional security. She has also doubled down on involvement in Myanmar, which plays an increasingly important role in China's energy security, and where China fears that American engagement efforts are part of a U.S. strategic encirclement of China. Taken together, Xi's decisions and words illustrate a more active strategy, and we are likely to see an even more self-confident Chinese foreign policy as he continues his decade of rule. Because Xi's domestic agenda and China's external agenda are intertwined, Xi's crafting of the Chinese dream as a vessel for party legitimacy also more closely yokes the party's fortunes to its performance as a defender of national interests and ambitions. And in his pronouncements on ideology and by establishing a new national security council, Xi has made clear that he sees a link between ideological menaces to one-party rule and strategic threats abroad, especially from the United States. Nationalists, especially online, continue to demand that the government use its newfound international heft to more actively and directly defend China's global interests. She is likely to make efforts to deliver, and in so doing will effectively end the traditional Chinese policy of non-intervention. Court shoots down short-lived same-sex marriage law in Canberra, Australia. For 5 days, same-sex couples could get married in Australia's capital city of Canberra. Those who did were the first in the country to do so. But that fleeting window was slammed shut Thursday by the Australian High Court, which ruled that a recent local law legalizing same-sex marriage was invalid. That means that the marriages of the couple who took advantage of the law to tie the knot, 27 according to local media, will be annulled. This is devastating for those couples who married this week and for their families, said Rodney Kroon, the national director of the advocacy group Australian Marriage Equality. However, this is just a temporary defeat. The Australian court's decision is the latest setback for gays' rights in the Asia-Pacific region. On Wednesday, India's top court ruled that sex between consenting homosexual partners is illegal in the country, prompting dismay from human rights groups. Australian gay rights activists say that their fight would now shift to lobbying the national parliament to change federal legislation. The High Court said Thursday that the Federal Marriage Act, which doesn't permit same-sex marriage, takes precedence over the law passed by the Legislative Assembly in Canberra, also known as the Australian Capital Territory. The lawmakers in the Act, which has a population of about 380,000 people, would have been aware that their same-sex marriage law wouldn't be allowed to override federal law. But their move has succeeded in fostering renewed debate on the issue in Australia. The activists' goal of changing the Federal Marriage Act appears to be a stern challenge, though Prime Minister Tony Abbott and his Conservative coalition oppose same-sex marriage. That's despite public pressure from his family. Sad news that the ACT same-sex marriage law has been overturned, tweeted Abbott's lesbian sister, Christine Forster. Focus now firmly on federal parliament, wrote Forster, who is a council member in Sydney. Earlier this year, Australian neighbour New Zealand became the first country in the Asia-Pacific region to legalize same-sex marriage. From big screen to your screen, could celebrities become your e-agents? The smartphone has revolutionized our personal and professional lives. More than just the phone, they are powerful, networked multimedia computers that we carry with us every day. Over the next 10 years, they'll get far more advanced, transforming every business process, including how we sell, communicate, collaborate, train, and educate. Here are 5 ways the mobile phone will change your life over the next decade. First, your phone will be your personal assistant. The introduction of Apple's Siri, intelligent e-agent, gave us a test of how advanced our phones could be. As Siri-like agents rapidly advance, they will turn into personal assistants, searching the web for you and delivering focused, highly relevant information based on how well it knows you. Your phone will know your preferences, likes, and needs. It will automatically compile, present, and share what's pertinent to you. Additionally, forget just talking to a faceless voice. Your intelligent e-agent will have a face when you are looking at the screen and a personality that you choose. You will even see celebrities and cartoon characters licensing the rights to their digital likeness and personality to be used as intelligent e-agents for both adults and children. Second, many smartphones won't have a screen. The traditional smartphone with a screen will not go away, but you will have an option for a screenless smartphone. This will be a very popular and highly adopted smartphone because without a screen, you get rid of much of the need for a big battery. Think of the screenless smartphone like the little piece of jewelry people who were on the old Star Trek TV show. The screenless smartphone will be touch and voice activated. When you tap it, you will be connected to your intelligent e-agent, which is part of a supercomputer in the cloud. Whatever you need, your intelligent agent will be able to verbally give you the information, such as turn-by-turn directions and your email content. Third, augmented reality will make life easier. With augmented reality (AR), you use your smartphone camera to see a live image of a screen in front of you, and an AR app will overlay on the screen pertinent details about the image. For example, you can activate the AR app and using your phone's camera, point the camera to a far-off mountain range, and text will overlay onto the image indicating, for example, the name of mountains, their elevation, and typical fauna. The app does this by using the device's GPS, digital compass, and motion sensors to detect where you are pointing the camera. But it can go much further. Imagine walking down a busy shopping district looking for a shoe store that sells a particular brand. With AR, you could tell your phone what you want and then pan your phone's camera down the street. The name of each store and what brands they sell will appear on your screen, overlaid on the image of the street. Even better, this technology could also be used inside large stores to help you find specific items. Fourth, your smartphone will have a 3D display and 3D web browser, and you won't need special glasses to view it. Instead of just viewing web pages on your smartphone, you'll be able to go into environments, or stores, or showrooms, and maneuver around in them, just as you do on devices like the Xbox. Alternatively, you'll be able to see things sticking out from the screen, again without the special glasses. The 3D web on your smartphone will be a game changer for business. Fifth, your smartphone will increasingly become your wallet. Our wallets are switching from being leather to being phone-based. That means we will use cash and physical credit cards less often, instead making purchases using our smartphones. This makes security even more important. We already have near-field communications chips taking hold in smartphones. These chips can help to speed a transaction when you are buying something you just get your smartphone close to a cash register that's equipped with the NFC reader, and you can do the transaction. The use of biometrics will also increase as an identifier of who you are. This will include having fingerprint readers like the latest iPhone, audio analysis of your voice, and facial recognition features in phones. By using all these things together, your fingerprint, voice, and face, your phone will provide a secure payment method. This is just a small sampling of what we will see for future smartphone technology. All of these advancements are in their early stages today. So keep in mind that if it can be done, it will be done. The question is, who will be first? IKEA recalls children's wall lamps after a child's death. IKEA has recalled 8 of its children's wall-mounted lamps after one toddler died and another was injured, the Consumer Product Safety Commission said Wednesday. In each case, the lamp cord was pulled into the crib by the infant, creating the strangulation hazard. Both incidents took place in Europe. There are 8 different models involved in the recall: a blue star, a yellow moon, a pink flower, a white flower, a red heart, green bog, and blue seashell, and an orange seahorse. Customers who have one of the lamps should immediately check the lamp and cord are out of reach of children and contact IKEA customer service to receive a repair kit free of charge, the retailer said. Instagram launches direct messaging. Instagram has announced a new private messaging feature called Instagram Direct, which will allow users to send a photo or video privately to up to 15 followers. Sometimes you want to be able to share not with everyone, but just a specific group. Instagram founder Kevin Systrom said at the company's announcement in New York. An update to the Facebook-owned Instagram mobile app released Thursday includes a new tab labeled Direct. Users can tap that tab to send photos specifically to their friends and have conversations around those photos. There will also be a new option to send to one on the app. The direct messaging feature will work in real time, enabling users to tell which of their friends have viewed the photo. They'll also be able to chat with friends in real time.